Hi, this is Tristan here, and I'm gonna do a little narration commentary for this compilation of photographs. These are photographs from the island of Gugeegue in the Republic of the Marshall Islands. It's an island located in Kwajalein Atoll, which is one of the largest, if not the largest coral atoll in the entire world. It's very large. And yeah, I came first to Gugeegue in 2007, shortly after having graduated from the University of Washington in anthropology, and I wanted to explore a little bit of the world and see what I could find. And an opportunity presented itself with the Marshall Islands because of a professor who was fluent in the language and also had studied the nuclear testing that occurred there pretty extensively. And so I decided to make it my home for the next couple of years. And so I did so. From 2007 to 2009, I lived on this small island called Gugeegue, and it was quite an experience. So I'd like to just share some of these experiences with you through these photographs and maybe give you a sense of what the island is all about. Um, when I first came, I didn't photograph for the purpose of anything but my own joy, and so all of these photographs are just really just for my own purposes. Um, I don't think I don't think I'll talk about any the photographs in any particular order, but maybe I could just address some of the um, different things that the photos do show. So I worked at a high school there, which was it's the only public high school in the entire atoll, and it may be the second largest in the entire nation, if not the third. I think it is the second, though. It's called Kwajalein Atoll High School, not to be confused with Kwajalein High School, which is located on the military base on Kwajalein Island, some miles away from Ebi and Gugeegue. Ebi being the second most populated location in the Marshall Islands, an island city with a population of over 10,000. So Gugeegue is just down the causeway from Ebi. You got to fly into the airport on Kwajalein military base, and then you take a water boat, an LCM, a landing craft mechanized World War II decommissioned amphibious assault vehicle. Basically, it has a ramp on the front that can be lowered. Probably seen the videos of Normandy beach invasion and all that. But this boat is like that, and it can hold a number of people, so it will travel throughout the day between Ebi and Kwajalein to allow for the um, workers to reach their destination and to return back home at night to Ebi. So that's how you get from the military installation to Ebi, and then from Ebi you take a pickup truck or whatever's going along the 3 to 4 mile causeway that connects Gugeegue to Ebi. And again, Ebi is just really overpopulated, but people are good, and so you come into Ebi first, and then you connect to Gugeegue, and when you first see Gugeegue, you're struck by the sparseness of it. It's really sparsely populated. I think it's about 300 people, if that. It's kind of protected by the local chiefs because of the fact that it's separated by some distance from the main population center of Ebi, and landowners still have a lot of control there, and so who lives there is largely determined by family connections as well as a few foreigners, mostly Americans, maybe a couple of Japanese people who work by means of contract through the government or through volunteer organizations like JICA, the Japanese volunteer organization. Um, yeah, it's a great island. It's when you enter the island, you come off the causeway, just a sandy road, basically that cuts through the water, through the ocean water, ocean on one side, lagoon on the other, and you arrive on the island, which is just a thin strip, probably not too much bigger than a couple of stadiums, and shaped very much like an ocean-going vessel. And you'll notice that it's just a straight road that comes into the island. All the vegetation is pretty low lying, although trees, of course, break the skyline. Um, the population is located mostly in the center of the island. So once you head either north or south on the island, you'll hit a lot of coconut trees, pandanus, breadfruit trees, things like that. So when I first came in 2007, I lived close to the public high school, Kwajalein Atoll High School, and there were a number of people in the area, population center of the island. And then again from 2010, late 2010 to 2011, I moved there with Ami, and we lived at toward the north end of the populated area. And that was special because it borders upon the Iroj, or the chief, the local chief, his area, his land area. So it was special for that reason, and we were kind of granted special permission, I suppose, to use that place because we worked at the private Catholic school on the island, which is called Father Hacker High School. And I came in December of 2010, and Ami showed up, I think, in April of 2011. And so I think we were there about 6 months. Yeah, that's right. So the whole experience was really interesting. We, as opposed to my 2007 to 2009 stay on Gugeegue, my 2010 to 11 stay was much more culturally based, I'd say, in the sense that I fit into the culture more. I had to, because I wasn't working for the government like I was on contract for KAHS, Kwajalein Atoll High School, and I was given a job at the private Catholic school since I'd worked on the island before as a teacher, and I just came back to perhaps make my way to the nation's center, capital city of Madro, and then maybe to Japan, which is where we're at right now. So we did make it, but yeah, it was kind of my intention to move through and at the same time reconnect with people after having been gone for over a year. And so I moved in with my brother, and then he helped me get connected with the local Catholic school, and we basically volunteered there. I worked there for a couple of months before Ami showed up in April, and then we both worked there. We made, minimal amount of money because it was mostly a volunteer position, but it got us through to enough to move to Madro, capital. And yeah, it was just really an interesting experience overall. The island is unique in that it's the population is almost 100% Marshallese. There are some Fijians who work for the schools, and maybe one Taiwanese guy, I think, and then typically some Americans who work also at the schools. And then some Japanese people too. And then you might get some other Pacific. There are some Filipinos, or Kiribati people, and it could be some other nationalities. But it's Panapan, I believe. So it's largely Pacific Islander. But yeah, we enjoyed very much meeting the people there. It's just a really, how can I put it? These people have a high level of integrity, I would say, because of the various wrongs which have been perpetrated against the people of the Marshalls with the nuclear testing and stuff, and also because of the fact that Kwajalein is currently used as a missile testing atoll. So missiles are shot from California. Trying to remember the name, but they're fired from thousands of miles away, and just in just under 30 minutes the missiles will reach the atoll and they'll splash down. They're not loaded with any dangerous payload or anything like that, but yeah, the people are basically witness to this phenomena, which is part of the United States military's protective campaign against potential threats. So that they're trying to develop systems by which they can shoot missiles out of the air and things like that. And the people of Ibai, Gugeegue, and the other islands have to basically tolerate that, since the landowners have decided ultimately to rent out the land of Kwajalein and a few other surrounding islands in the atoll to the United States military. There are a total of, I think, 96 islands in the atoll, and I've only been to, well, the ones along the causeway, which are 4 or 5, I think, including e-jekāān-eņ and Gugeegue, one at the end, e-jekāān-eņ, and then a couple others, Gugeegue and e-jekāān-eņ, I can't pronounce it. It's Carlos Island. Anyway, so I haven't been to that many islands, but I know that Gugeegue is unique in that the people are well aware of the testing that occurs there. It's not a secret. It can be found online, as well as the nuclear history of the country. So it's kind of a special group of people, and also I did mention the fact that there's a large influence from the local leaders. So yeah, it's like if you live there and if you're part of the community, you're really part of the community. You can't separate yourself from it, and that's one of the benefits of living there. But it can also be detrimental, and anybody who's lived in a small community understands this. It's, when you're part of a smaller community, you're basically obligated to fulfill certain duties, roles, and some of those things we weren't prepared to do. Being part of certain dance parties or barbecues, activities, things like that. We didn't always want to go, but it's kind of expected, although not stated outright. So, yeah, I think we stayed for just the right amount of time, and anything more, we would have started to become members, real, like, full-fledged members of the community. And we might be Marshallese by now. So we moved to the capital city, within some months of having lived here. But every day and every week was an intense experience that required all of our, intelligence and willpower just to kind of make it through. We lost a number of animals, which was unfortunate. We had a pet dog that I'd adopted soon after having arrived, and she was a very nice dog, but we just couldn't leave her on the island after we left, because she would have been she would have died. There was no way for her to live, because there's no there are dogs on the island which people care for, but female dogs are generally not cared for because of population growth and obvious limitations of the island to support animals, and people don't want to take care of them, also for money's sake and for not having that much food. So essentially we had to have her put down, island fashion, which is not the same as taking her to a veterinarian. That was really sad, and it's kind of like a harsh life. It's kind of like farm life, if you think of it that way. It's like you have to do away with certain necessities that we have on a continent or in a richer nation. Just some hardships, and you can see by the pictures, like the house that we lived in was a modified trailer. Basically, it was a trailer with a sort of exoskeleton, you could say, a surrounding area, a surrounding structure built around it. And when we moved in, we were very fortunate, thanks to the people who had lived there previously, and to the school for which we worked, to have this place at all. But it's not easy for an American and a Japanese, for those people to live in a place like this if you're not used to basically being exposed to this kind of weather and heat and living conditions. And so, like, we didn't have a refrigerator. We had to freeze all of our food, as you can see from some of these pictures, and alcohol was not typically drank on the island in hard form. In other words, you couldn't really get liquor. So that kind of made the evenings difficult. We told a lot of stories, talked a lot. And, it has its challenges, is what I'm trying to say, and some restrictions in terms of what you can do and can't do due to the culture and things. But overall an extremely rewarding experience. We let me think of some examples of what we did. That I think the best part about it was probably working outside in between the two school years, from the 2011 school year to the 2010 to the 2011 school years. Between those years, it was 2011 to 2012, we had some months free during the summer before we moved to the capital city. We're able to raise the money and then move over there. And during that time, I was cleaning the yard by use of machete and just hand power. And Ami supported with the cooking, with the cleaning of the house, and all the housework, which was substantial in itself. So I was able to work outside, and it was really an enjoyable experience to see how people might have survived in the past. The Marshallese people in the ancient past were known for their fishing abilities, obviously, the nation being coral atolls only, really, and also for some farming techniques, mostly consuming pandanus, breadfruit, and coconut, along with arrowroot, I think it's called, which is not consumed any longer. But yeah, it was like a highly intensive agricultural activity for the people to be able to sustain themselves, because coconuts obviously can grow naturally, but in order to have enough for a community, you really do have to make sure that the plants are properly spaced and so on and so forth. So, cutting these trees and plants, I soon gained appreciation for how people might have survived in the past. And I could always come back in, and I could even have like a beer if we had beer, or I could what else? Like we bought like regular bread and things like that. So, but you think about the times past, and it's just kind of crazy to think that people were able to survive in an environment like this. If we'd stayed much longer, I mean, we were healthy in body. We certainly got plenty of exercise, but it's just it can be real hard on the body. So the people tend to be very positive and very forward looking. I think they find ways to celebrate and enjoy their lives despite the hardships that are existent on such an island as this. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to share some experiences and maybe just relate to anybody listening, what it's like to live on an island like this. And if you ever have the opportunity, if you're young, particularly like a college student, and you're looking to move abroad, the Pacific Islands are definitely an option. I don't think I would do it from now. I'm 34 now, and I don't think that I would do it now. It's just it's harsh. It's a harsh environment, and boy, I look at the older folks. Like elderly in the Marshalls is 60s. That's easily elderly. We're in Japan now, and most of the population here seems to be over the age of 60. At least that's what it seems. It is a large aging population here, and 80 years old in Japan is not so rare at all, in fact. So yeah, I mean, it was just like we gained a whole new appreciation for life and for our own lives, and that's thanks to the people and thanks to the great environment that the Marshalls had to offer. And yeah, so anyway, I hope you could benefit a little bit from this recording, and thanks a lot for listening. Bye-bye for now.